Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm your host, Marcus Engel. With me, as always, is the Hotness. Hi, babe.
You are accumulating more and more points every
right.
day.
Yep.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I get good brownie points with
You
my
do.
wife.
It gets you out of trouble. You just go, but I call you the Hotness.
Yeah, that's all that happens. Yeah. So anyway, this is a podcast where we teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. And we've been having some conversations. Well, we always have conversations around here. That's one of the things that I love so much about my marriage and our relationship is that you and I never seem to find things that we never seem to run out of things to talk about. Never seem to run out of things to talk about.
Being great friends, which is a good foundation for a relationship, I think.
And I just can't believe you like me.
I can't either.
I know. Sometimes it's crazy.
It must be those brownie points.
Yeah, probably. So today we were looking just like at this idea of compassion, and we were talking it over, and you asked me a question like, what's something you think of whenever you think of compassion, right? Mm-hmm. And my immediate story is always back to Jennifer, and it's the story of her holding my hand in the emergency room and using those comforting words, "I'm here." That's immediately the story. But I also relate that to being a child and having, of course, good parents that I could go to when I was hurt or I was scared or I was, whatever the case was, that a parent taking that child into a loving embrace when the child is vulnerable and scared, to me, that is just one of the most natural methods of conveying compassion. Is just such an example of what is compassion. Bing, that's it right there.
Oh, I love that. As a mom, I think too, I always think, what did I do right? And what do my kids remember that was crazy? So I love that you remember that about your parents.
Well, and I just think that's the typical mother and child or parent and child kind of dynamic, although we know that what is normal is a myth in our society, and that there's enough toxicity in our culture and our relationships, et cetera, to make that not the experience for everybody. But True. I think that essential idea of a mother loving the child is what is human compassion.
I love that. And I'm going to tell you that we recently had an event here where you were bitten by a viper. Right?
Yeah, a pit viper called a water moccasin.
And that was in our house. And if you haven't watched that episode,
go back and do it. Go back and get the full. Go back and get the full 411 on the old snake bite.
I know, and I will tell you that event taught me so much about compassion, not from a medical standpoint, or I should say, in addition to a medical standpoint, but just in a basic concept of human to human.
And maybe even human to canine. Right?
Yes.
Because
that
in the midst
accurate.
of this trauma, the thing I'm worried about was my seeing eye dog, James, being hurt by this snake, or running around the house when there's, or being here alone whenever they have to take me to the hospital. And that's where we really saw compassion in action. Right?
Correct. And I know that I can't go to the hospital and stay here and take care of James. And I'm thinking I'm going to be running back and forth all the time. And I just want to sit with you. And we got to witness something that has really encouraged and inspired me to think of things differently. And that is that we notice there's almost two kinds of people, and I know every event is different, so this isn't judgy, but there's the kind of people that I have been where you say, let me know if you need anything.
Let me know how I can help.
And
right? And that's a beautiful sentiment.
And I don't believe I've always meant it if I've said that. And sometimes they're far away and there's really not much practical they can do. And then there's the kind of people who almost know what you need before you know what you need. And having the opportunity to be on the receiving end of that has been humbling and
Inspiring.
inspiring
Yeah.
and almost devastating in a way, in all the good ways. We have neighbors who walked in and said, "We've got James, you just go."
Yeah.
And
And we knew that these folks are good, decent people. We've lived next door to them for
for
years.
years.
They've helped us out. We've helped them out. But taking my dog is a big trust thing, as you can imagine. But at the moment, I didn't have any choice, right? I didn't have any choice. I certainly couldn't have taken care of him. Marveline couldn't have taken care of him. And they simply stepped in, got him on leash, and said, "Hey, we've got him. We got him. You just go take care of what you need to take care of. We've got the dog."
It's true, and almost I'm getting in the car to follow the ambulance going, I didn't tell them where his food was. I didn't tell them anything about his daily routine.
He's
I
such a new
just
dog that we're still
left,
learning him, right? We don't know
right?
everything about him because he's only been with me for a few months.
And he's very energetic.
He's very
He's very
spirited puppy.
spirited. He's 3, but I always say it's like having a toddler. We've had to childproof everything around here. So it was like this, oh, and then I couldn't think about it anymore. All I could do was go and trust they'll take care of it. And we, of course, exchanged some texts later of, here's his food, here's his night routine. But they just took him. And another neighbor who came up and said, if they need backup, we've got him. We've had laps. We've got him. We'll take care as well. And before I could even think someone's got to take care of James, it was, we're doing that. There were people who brought things to the hospital before you could ask and would just leave them and not stay when you couldn't really have visitors yet. You were too tired and too still recovering from surgery and on so much medication. But they would bring Starbucks or something kind and sweet or Greek food. And you didn't ask. They just would say, hey, I'm cooking extra tonight. Can I bring this by and I'll just leave it for you?
So back to the idea that we were talking about earlier, that it seems like during a crisis, obviously we're being very generic about this, but it seems like there's often two kinds of people. Those who say, let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. And then second, the people who do help and just actually jump in without needing to have it explained because they see the need and they just fill that need. I have often been that kind of person who says, let me know if you need anything. But if that friend that I'm expressing that to is somewhere else, I can't get there, right? I can't come be a shoulder to cry on unless it's over the phone or Skype or something like that. But the idea that you can really help, that's almost something that needs to be witnessed and see, hey, I noticed that you haven't gotten your mail in a couple of days. Let me go grab your mail out of your mailbox. That kind of thing, looking for where there is a need and jumping in to fill that need. That's the kind of person that I want to be, not the person who takes a more passive approach to say, let me know if there's anything I can do to help, which is a beautiful sentiment, but it is rather passive, right?
It is. And personally, I love receiving, thinking about you, praying for you, holding you in our thoughts, wishing you well. I love that from people, especially if they're far away. Then the people who are an ear and they let me go, I'm so scared, or
I'm so tired.
we're
I
worried
can't
about
stand
this, or I'm exhausted, or my back hurts from being in the recliner. They just are an ear and they're there. And we can all offer that no matter where we live. And we were so fortunate to have those people as well. And I wore the same pajamas that I'd left in for like 5 or 6 days. And someone brought me a pack of clean underwear so I didn't have to wear dirty underwear. That's gross, I know, but, and a sports bra because I didn't even have a bra on. And brought you clean undie things
Yeah.
so that we could at least feel a little more human. And I will tell you, after like day 3 of walking the hospital, going to get, ice or whatever down the hallway, you don't really care anymore. And at the end, you're going, wait, did I wear slippers for 6 days at the hospital? And one of my daughters, who's a nurse, said, Mom, trust me, they've seen worse. So I just kind of quit worrying about it. But people who just knew and jumped in and said, what do you need? And you believed them when they said it. And then they put it in action again, almost before you could articulate it. That was one of the most compassionate things I've been on the end of. And I remember you especially because you were already in so much pain and you were so worried about James and wanting to be assured that he did not get bit, that he was okay, that he was taken care of, and you missed him. And they would send pictures and videos and tell you cute stories about what he was doing so you would know he's safe.
Again, seeing the need and filling it without even needing to be asked to do so. That's a beautiful example of compassion. And that's exactly the kind of stories that we want to continue to bring to you through this Compassion and Courage podcast.
And I personally am walking away with it with a more determination than ever to not just, be passive, but to actually be active with my compassion to help someone else when they're in need and try to see, okay, what would I need in that situation? And then just do it. Say, here's dinner, or here's a DoorDash card or whatever. Here it is. It's there when you want it.
When you're ready. Yep. That is compassion. And this is Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare, the podcast where we teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. I want to thank everyone for subscribing and sharing and rating and reviewing and commenting. I want to thank you for passing the podcast along to a friend, even if it's just one friend who might need to have a little bit more compassion and courage in their life. If there is anything that I can do for you in the realms of public speaking engagements, hospital consulting, healthcare consulting, engagement and retention, that's what I'm here to do. Please visit marcusengel.com, marcusengel.com for more information, and drop me an email at marcus@marcusengel.com, and we will get you taken care of. Thank you again so much for joining us for this episode of Compassion and Courage.